You're watching NBA Now. I am your host, Harrison Graham on Chat Sports. Appreciate everybody for tuning in to today's video. We're going to answer all of your questions, so use hashtag NBA or Super Chat, and we will be able to answer all of your questions. Ask about the draft, free agency, whatever it is, we have you guys covered. Evan Hinders with the question first. If the Bulls don't re-sign Zach LaVine, should they trade for Andrew Wiggins? That's a pretty interesting idea. Obviously, LaVine is one of the top free agents this year. Chicago would like to keep him in Chicago, obviously, but we'll see what happens there. He's going to have a very strong market. He'll sign a max somewhere. I think the Bulls will be dumb to let him go, but if he lands elsewhere, trading for Wiggins could be a fallback option if you are the Bulls. Next up, Christopher C. Who did the Oklahoma City Thunder pick with their number 12 pick? So the Thunder have the second pick and the 12th pick for those who missed the draft lottery, but two top 12 picks for Oklahoma City. Hard to say who they'll pick at 12 just because that's deeper in the draft. Ochai Agbaji is a player that I like in that range. We also have Chase Sr.'s top draft prospects that we can take a look at here, players 11 through 15. We'll try to get to that in a second. But I like Agbaji. I like E.J. Liddell. I think that's a little early for him, though. At number 12, could Jeremy Sohan fall to that selection for OKC? That could be a possibility as well. Jessica Lampert, what should the Hornets do this offseason? Well, number one, I think they should hire Mike D'Antoni. I think Mike D'Antoni would be a good coach for their personnel. LaMelo Ball is a great transition point guard, and Mike D'Antoni likes to run and gun. Get that offense out in space and score a bunch of points with those guys. You got Miles Bridges there, who I think is a good skill player for that type of system if they want to go that route. So hire D'Antoni and see if you can get some more talent around LaMelo Ball, because he is a generational point guard with his vision and the ability to get shooters good shots. Gary Smith next up on our mailbag. Do you think the Cavs will keep their pick or trade it? So the Cavs pick, where do they pick, Coop? You got the lottery results here. The Cavs pick at, I'm drawing a blank here, 14. Duh, they had the worst odds. So we'll see. Cleveland is an interesting team to watch moving forward because they had a good year, but they kind of fell in the last month of the season. I thought Bickerstaff did a nice job with what they had. Kevin Love had a nice bounce-back year. If they can use that pick to get another solid veteran in that nucleus, I could see that. Or they could select a solid player in that range as well. So be curious to see what Cleveland decides to do with that selection. Who will be the number one pick in the 2022 NBA draft? Who's going to be the top selection this year? Let us know in the comments. Will it be Chet Holmgren, Jabari Smith? Will it be someone else? I want to hear it from you guys. Number one pick in the 2022 draft. KJ on YT, smiley face. How far does Chet fall? Well, let's take a look at Chase's top 5 prospects here. He's got Chet Holmgren as his number 4 overall prospect, and I would be shocked if he fell outside the top 5. I think there's a pretty decent chance he does go number 1. He's so skilled and talented. His slight frame is what's turned some people off a little bit. Jabari Smith is a talented player, obviously, but I'd be shocked if Chet fell outside the top 5 unless there were major medical concerns, which up to this point there's no evidence that that would be the case. Yam saying, which team in the top 5 is most likely to trade their pick? Gosh. Let's put the results up here real quick, Coop. I would say most likely, how about the Thunder? If the Thunder want to decide that this is the offseason, that they make a move or two for a big-time vet, they've got a ton of draft capital, 2 top 12 picks this year and countless first-round picks over the next 6 years. They could be a candidate if they want to go make a splashy trade in free agency. I don't look at any of those other teams as a candidate to do that. I think Detroit, Sacramento, Houston, and Orlando should stay put and make that selection. So I don't think any of those other teams will, if I'm being honest. Andres Rosas, would it be possible for LaVine for Love plus LeVert? I think it's going to cost more. LaVine is a top 15 player. at least offensively. He's really good. He's gotten a little better defensively. He's not great on that end, but this is a guy who averaged almost 30 this year, guys. Like, he is an elite scorer. So Kevin Love is in his mid-30s. Karis LeVert's a nice piece, but you would have to add probably 2 firsts, at least 1, if not 2 firsts to that trade, in my opinion. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button here on Chat Sports. We're starting to kind of slowly crank up our NBA coverage now that we're into the conference finals. The NBA offseason is upon us. The draft lottery just happened. We'll have you guys covered on all of it. YouTube.com/ChatSportsTV. If you want the latest NBA news, rumors, draft, and free agency buzz, we have you covered here on the channel. Jonathan Lara, where do the Spurs go from here as they pick at number 9? You know, we talked about this during our draft lottery show. Hope you guys joined us live. We had a lot of fun doing that. They're kind of stuck in the middle of the NBA right now, where they have some good pieces, but they don't have a star. You got DeJounte Murray, who's a nice player. How long does Greg Popovich want to coach? They got to figure out who their star is. Do they currently have one? I don't think they do. If not, can they get one? Are you going to get one with the number 9 pick? Probably not. I think you'll get a good player there. But they got to figure out what this next era of Spurs basketball looks like. They traded Derek White. They're in a weird spot. I mean, you almost wonder if they'd be better off kind of ripping the Band-Aid off for a couple years, being bad for 2 or 3 seasons, and then kind of reloading for this next era. Will Pinto, who should the Rockets take? So the Rockets have the number 3 pick. Jaden Ivey's a guy that'll probably be there at number 3. Could Jamari Smith fall to 3? Maybe. If Chet goes 1 and one of these other guys goes 2. That number 3 pick is interesting because I think Chet and Jabari will be the top 2 picks. Maybe Jaden Ivey sneaks in there. Could Shaedon Sharpe sneak in there? You know, he's an unknown, didn't play college basketball. So those are a few names to monitor. Clayton Lockhart, are the Lakers really keeping Westbrook, or is it just blowing smoke? I mean, look, if they don't find a trade partner, they have 2 options, Clayton. Number 1, keep him. Number 2, stretch waive him. That's cut him and split his dead cap salary over 3 seasons. So he's set to make almost $45 million this year, assuming he opts into his player option. That would be $15 million on the books this year, $15 million the next season, $15 million the year after that. You could do that, but that's going to be a pain in the ass in 2 years when you're still paying Russell Westbrook on your salary cap. They did it with Luol Deng, though, and he just came off their books. Shout out your favorite NBA team down in the comments. Rep your squad and let us know. What's that, producer Coop? Oh, and let us know who your favorite team should draft, by the way. If your team doesn't have a draft pick, let us know who they should sign in free agency. That works as well. Shout out your favorite team and let us know who they should add this offseason. King Rail using hashtag NBA. I think Portland should trade the pick and go after Zach. Your thoughts? You know, I kind of half-heartedly said this on our live show that the Blazers should sign Zach LaVine, and hopefully they get a top 4 pick, and they can make a selection there as well. Obviously, they didn't get a top 4 pick. They're picking at 7, but I do think they should go hard after LaVine. Try to pair him with Damian Lillard. That's probably the best they could do realistically in free agency. You could take a swing at DeAndre Ayton if you want to pair a big with Lillard. That would certainly help that team defensively, which is lacked on that end. You could let Nurkic go, sign Ayton. Wouldn't hate that, but Ayton is restricted, so the Phoenix Suns could match. Tyler Smith, Mavericks will win the finals. Luka, finals MVP. From your lips to God's ears, Tyler. I hope that happens. We'll see what happens, though. It's been a fun journey so far. Western Conference Finals, Eastern Conference Finals getting underway here. Should be a fun postseason. Preb says, where should the Kings go with their 4th pick? I think that... like Jaden Ivey would be fun for them. I'm trying to think of good fits with De'Aaron Fox. I think Benedict Mathurin fits good for there. I think 4 is a little early for them. You know, you've got Domantas Sabonis now, so I'm thinking wings. Thinking wings in this draft for Sacramento. Dilio Villachilla, what is an ideal trade for the Rockets to be serious contenders next year? They're not there. Like, if you're Houston, make this pick, keep building. I think next offseason at the earliest would be a time to make a big move to be a contender, but I think they're at least another season away. So I guess you could trade this pick and a couple of your players for a big-time piece, but as like a core of Jalen Green and another player, like a veteran star, enough to make a run, I don't think you're there yet. I think you're still building if you're Houston. Zach LaVine prediction, I assume, in terms of where he'll sign. I'll still lean Chicago. He loves playing there. They like him. I think probably 70% he stays in Chicago, but I do think he'll take other offers, and I think he'll see what else is out there. So don't rule out him signing elsewhere, but I would still predict Chicago. Lambo Sambo, well, who's a sleeper prospect that could go top 5? Well, let's take a look at Chase's maybe 6 through 10 prospects here, Coop. Someone off the radar. I think the obvious one is Shaedon Sharpe, who committed to Kentucky but did not play for them, was the number 1 prospect in high school. Johnny Davis, I think, is a guy to monitor. He's a pretty talented two-way player, can score the basketball. Wasn't super efficient for Wisconsin, but a lot was on his plate for the Badgers as they expected a lot out of him. I think those are a couple of guys. A.J. Griffin was a big prospect, had inconsistent results at Duke, but if he has a strong pre-draft process, I think he could be a candidate to sneak into the top 5 as well. Who's the most slept-on prospect in the NBA draft? I want to hear it from you guys down in the comments section. The most slept-on prospect in the draft this year is who? Let us know down below. The Otter Wolf, who do you think goes to the Detroit Pistons? So Pistons were hoping for the number 1 pick again. They actually fell to 5. There's still good guys there. I mean, there's a chance that Jaden Ivey would be there, a Benedict Mathurin. You could go Shaedon Sharpe. I don't think Paolo Banchero will fall there, but he would be a good option. I would like to get a good off-ball scorer next to Cade Cunningham. That's what I'm looking at if I'm Detroit. So I think all those players I mentioned would fit the bill. Alec G, will CP3 go down as the best player to never win a ring? Very possible. I don't think he's winning a championship. At least is a core player. Now, maybe he joins a team and is like a backup point guard at his age 39, age 40, 41 season and gets a ring that way, but I don't think he's winning a title where he's the primary player. He obviously would be at or near the top of that list. I mean, Charles Barkley, obviously, I would say is one of the best players without a ring right now. But CP3, he's right there, man. I don't think he's getting a championship. Bielna Senpai, what is your team, and what do you think the best move this offseason for said team? I'm a Mavs fan, so I'm still on cloud 9. I'm not thinking ahead to the offseason, but – 2 weeks ago I would have said figure out something at the center position, but as the Mavs just knocked out DeAndre Ayton and Rudy Gobert without a center, basically, I'm thinking maybe another wing. You can't ever have enough wings. I think bringing back Jalen Brunson's going to be priority number 1. Do you want to trade a Bertans and a Tim Hardaway for another 3-and-D guy? That could happen, but if the Mavs make the finals or even are competitive in the conference finals, they might just run it back and you're adding Tim Hardaway to this core. They may just go that route as I almost trip on my microphone cord, but we're all good. Beatles Burner, what position do you think the Raptors need? They're in a good spot. I think best player available is kind of what I'm thinking for Toronto. They could use more guard play. I like Van Vliet, but he's not like a true point guard. Who's the other guy that they traded for Portland last year? Gary Trent. I like him, but he's not really a point. They don't really have a true point guard. So if you could find a point guard, I think that would make some sense if you're Toronto. But they've got some nice pieces. I think they're in a decent spot. Rush C, we'll take a few more questions here. You think Paolo would be a great franchise player for OKC? I like Banchero, yeah. I think him at number 2 is perfectly fine. He could go number 1. So, yeah, I think he'd be a nice piece. I actually think he fits, too, because their best 2 players are like guards, Giddey and Gilgeous-Alexander. I think Powell is one of those wing types. He can play 3, maybe some stretch 4, but he's probably more of a 2-3 hybrid. But I like Banchero's game. He needs to get better defensively, but I think he's one of the best pure scorers in this class. A-List the Boss, do you think the Knicks trade Julius Randle in the draft to get another pick? Possibly. Could you get like a late mid-first or mid-late first for Randle? Could happen. You'd have to match some salary a little bit as well, but I do think the Knicks trading Julius Randle is very much a possibility. Drip Monkey, where's Jaden Ivey going? I think top 10 for sure, maybe top 5. Good scorer out of Purdue. I think that is very kind of the range for him. I'd say as high as 2 or 3, as low as 7 or 8. Somewhere in that range is where Ivey will go. David Lane, Keegan Murray from Iowa is going number 1, but I'm a Bulls fan. I enjoyed watching Murray in the tournament. Don't think he'll go 1, but he's a hell of a player. He can really score. Not the best athlete. He won't be one of these guys that pops at the NBA Combine, but he can really score. He can block some shots. He's a great shooter, so I'm with you. He should be a top 10 lock. Eric Russell with the super chat. What does OKC do with the 2nd and 12th picks? So, yeah, they have 2 top 12 picks. I think at number 2, I think OKC's still in the mold of just take the best player on your board. Every team will create a big board, and whoever that player is, that's who they should draft. And then at 12, add more shooting. I would try to add a shooter there at the 12th pick.